You know that feeling when you find out you're the only family member not invited to a wedding? Yeah, that was my Tuesday morning, sitting in my car outside Target with a coffee going cold in the cup holder, staring at 3 words on my phone screen that somehow managed to feel both casual and devastating at the same time. You're not invited. No context. No explanation. Just that. This was from Madison, my cousin who I'd known literally my entire life. We'd shared a bedroom during family vacations. I'd been in her previous wedding, the one that lasted 8 months, but that's another story. And now, wedding number 2, and apparently I'd been voted off the island. I sat there for probably 10 minutes, watching my screen dim and light back up every time I touched it, reading those 3 words over and over like they might rearrange themselves into something that made sense. The parking lot was doing that October thing where the morning sun hits at exactly the wrong angle, so half my car was freezing and half was too hot. And my coffee had that specific lukewarm temperature that makes you question all your life choices. The text had come in at 6:47 a.m. Who sends a wedding uninvitation before 7 a.m.? That's psychopath behavior. I called my sister Emma immediately. She picked up on the first ring, which meant she already knew. Let me guess, she said. You got the text. You knew about this? I got mine last week. Mom got hers yesterday. Aunt Carol's been uninvited too, and both of Dad's brothers. I pulled into an actual parking space because this conversation clearly needed my full attention. Wait, who is invited then? From our side? Just her parents and brother. Everyone else got cut. But here's the thing. Emma's voice dropped into that tone she uses when she's about to tell you something that'll make your head explode. Her fiancé's family? All 47 of them are invited. Every single cousin, aunt, uncle, his mom's college roommate, his dad's coworkers. It's her wedding. She can invite whoever she wants, but she told Mom it's because we're too dramatic and she wants peaceful energy only. I literally laughed. Out loud, in my car. This is the same Madison who threw a ceramic plate at her first husband's head during Thanksgiving 2019, but we're too dramatic? There's more, Emma continued. The wedding's at Grandma's estate. And that's when I felt it. That little spark of something that wasn't quite anger yet, more like, wait, what? Grandma's estate? The one Grandma is currently alive and living in? The very same. Our grandmother, Dad's mom, owns this absolutely beautiful property about an hour outside the city. Stone farmhouse from the 1800s, huge gardens, that classic New England aesthetic that people pay wedding venues thousands of dollars to replicate. Madison had apparently called Grandma directly and asked to use it for the wedding. And Grandma, being the conflict-avoiding saint she is, had said yes, so let me get this straight. Madison was using our grandmother's property for her wedding while simultaneously uninviting most of our grandmother's children and grandchildren. The math wasn't mathing. Spent the next 3 days doing what any reasonable person would do, obsessively thinking about it while pretending I wasn't obsessively thinking about it. I deep cleaned my apartment. I reorganized my closet by color. I started and abandoned a jigsaw puzzle. And every few hours, I'd pick up my phone and stare at that text again. You're not invited. On Thursday evening, I was halfway through stress baking a 3rd batch of cookies I didn't need when my phone rang. Grandma's contact photo, her in her garden with her ridiculous sun hat, filled my screen. Hi, Grandma. Are you sitting down? She sounded tired. Grandma never sounds tired. I sat down at my kitchen table where I had approximately 600 chocolate chip cookies cooling on every available surface. I'm sitting. Madison called me today. She wanted to know if I'd be willing to stay at your Aunt Carol's house the weekend of the wedding. I stopped mid-cookie grab. I'm sorry, what? She said it would be easier for everyone if I wasn't there during the event. That at 83, I might find all the commotion overwhelming. Grandma's voice had that specific quality that happens when someone is very, very angry but too polite to show it. She offered to have someone drive me back on Sunday after they're done with photos. I need you to understand something about my grandmother. This woman fled Hungary in 1956, came to America with literally 1 suitcase, put herself through nursing school while working nights, bought that property with money she'd saved over 30 years, and has never, not once in her entire life, asked anyone for anything. She hosts every holiday. She remembers every birthday. When my parents got divorced, she let us stay with her for 3 months while they figured things out. And Madison wanted to kick her out of her own house for a wedding weekend. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her I'd think about it. A pause. I'm not actually going to think about it. I'm not leaving. But I wanted to talk to you first because, well, you're the problem solver in the family. I'm really not. But Grandma has this selective memory about who her grandchildren are. Here's what I'm thinking, she continued. The wedding's in 3 weeks. Madison's clearly under some kind of stress. I'm trying to be generous here, and I don't want to cause more family drama. But I'm also not leaving my own home. You absolutely should not leave your own home. So I'll be there. In my house. During the wedding. She sounded almost mischievous now. And I was thinking, the invitation did say I could bring a +1, and that's when I understood exactly what my 83-year-old grandmother was proposing. You want me to come with you. I want all of you to come with me. Emma, your parents, Carol, everyone who got uninvited. Not to the wedding, we'll stay inside, out of the way. But it's my house. I can have guests if I want to. Looking back, I should have thought about this more carefully. I should have considered the consequences, maybe called a family meeting, approached this like a mature adult. Instead, I said, I'm in. The next 2 weeks were spent in covert planning that honestly felt more like organizing a heist than attending a family event. Emma created a shared note on her phone where we coordinated timing. Dad kept accidentally replying all to emails that were supposed to be private, so we had to remove him from the text chain and just tell him when and where to show up. Aunt Carol contributed a grocery list for siege supplies that included 3 types of cheese and a bottle of wine described only as the good stuff. Grandma, meanwhile, was playing it completely cool with Madison. Yes, dear. That sounds lovely. Yes, I'm so excited. Yes, I understand about the peaceful energy. The Thursday before the wedding, Madison sent out a group text to her side of the family with a detailed timeline. Ceremony at 2 p.m., cocktail hour in the garden, dinner under the tent at 6. She'd really gone all out. I saw pictures later. The place looked like a Pinterest board had exploded across Grandma's property. What Madison didn't know was that Grandma had given all of us keys to the house years ago. Saturday morning arrived. With that perfect fall weather that wedding planners probably sacrifice small animals to achieve. Crisp but not cold, sunny but not harsh. Leaves doing that thing where they look photoshopped but aren't. I picked up Emma at 11 a.m. She'd brought a duffel bag like we were going camping. What's in there? I asked. Snacks? Binoculars? My good camera with the zoom lens? I'm treating this like a nature documentary. We got to Grandma's house at noon. The caterers were already set up, white uniformed people carrying trays and arranging flowers. A massive white tent covered most of the back lawn. Someone was testing a sound system, and I could hear violin music floating across the property. We parked around the side. Grandma had specified not where anyone can see your cars from the tent area, and let ourselves in through the side door that opens into the mudroom. Grandma was in the kitchen, wearing a dress I'd never seen before and looking more put together than I'd seen her in years. Is that new? Emma asked, gesturing at the outfit. I bought it specifically for today. If I'm going to be in my own house during my granddaughter's wedding that I'm not invited to, I'm going to look good doing it. She checked her watch. Your parents and Carol should be here in 20 minutes. And I made sandwiches. Of course she did. The house has this layout where the kitchen and main living areas are in the back, with big windows overlooking the garden and lawn. Perfect for watching an entire wedding reception without being seen if you're careful about it. By 1:30, our whole uninvited crew was assembled in Grandma's living room. Me, Emma, our parents, Aunt Carol, and my Uncle David with his wife. 8 of us total, sitting around eating Grandma's sandwiches and trying to decide if what we were doing was hilarious or horrible. Little bit of both, Emma decided, positioning herself by the window with her camera. At 1:45, guests started arriving. We watched them park, watched them walk up the path to the garden where chairs were arranged in neat rows. I recognized Madison's in-laws, her fiancé Steve's parents, who I'd met exactly once at a very awkward lunch where Steve's mom had called me Melissa 3 times despite my name being nowhere close to Melissa. There are so many of them, my mom whispered, like we were spying on a herd of exotic animals. At 2:03, the music changed, and Madison appeared at the end of the aisle. She looked beautiful, I'll give her that. The dress was all lace and tulle, very romantic. Steve looked like he might cry, which was sweet. The officiant, someone I didn't recognize, started the ceremony. We couldn't hear much from inside, which was probably for the best. Emma kept providing whispered commentary like a sports announcer. And here comes the ring bearer. Looks like he's about 5 years old. Someone's given him a ring pop. That's not going to end well. The ceremony lasted maybe 20 minutes. Then everyone migrated toward the cocktail hour area, which was set up in the garden on the opposite side of the house from where we were stationed. So far, so good, Dad said, like he was narrating a bank robbery. At 3:30, there was a knock on the front door. We all froze. Grandma went to answer it, and we heard her say, "Oh, hello, dear. Is everything all right?" Madison's voice carried down the hallway. "Grandma! I just wanted to check, are you doing okay? Do you need anything?" "I'm perfectly fine, thank you, sweetie." "Are you sure you don't want to come out for a bit? Just to see everything? I know I said it might be overwhelming, but no, I'm quite comfortable inside. You go enjoy your party." "Okay, well, I'll check on you later." We listened to Madison's heels click back down the front path. "She has no idea," Emma breathed. Cocktail hour turned into dinner, which we watched from various strategic windows throughout the house. The food looked incredible, which was annoying. Emma documented everything with her camera. At one point, Uncle David asked if this made us bad people, and Aunt Carol responded by pouring more wine. Around 7 p.m., during dinner, Grandma's doorbell rang again. This time, it was Steve's mother. "Hello?" she said brightly when Grandma answered. "I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm Steve's mom, Patricia. We're just wondering if we could use your bathroom. The ones by the tent have quite a line. Here's the thing about Grandma. She is incapable of being rude to a direct request." "Of course," she said. "Come in." Patricia stepped into the foyer, and her eyes went immediately to the living room, where 8 people were very obviously having some kind of gathering, with plates of food and wine glasses, and Emma's camera equipment scattered around. Her smile didn't change, but something in her face did. "Oh," she said. "I didn't realize you had company." "Family," Grandma said simply. I watched Patricia's brain try to process this. We were clearly Madison's family based on the resemblance. Emma looks exactly like our dad, who looks exactly like Grandma. But we were also clearly not at the wedding happening 50 feet away. How? "Nice," Patricia finally managed. "The bathroom? Down the hall. First door on the right." We sat in excruciating silence while Patricia used the bathroom. When she emerged, she gave us all a smile that looked like it hurt and hurried back outside. "That's going to get back to Madison," my mom said. "Yep," Emma agreed cheerfully. 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Madison's brother. "WTF are you doing at Grandma's house right now?" I didn't respond. At 8:30, the real show started. We heard raised voices from outside, not quite yelling, but definitely above normal conversation volume. Emma scrambled to the window. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Madison's coming to the house. And she looks pissed." The doorbell didn't ring this time. Madison just opened the door. She still had a key, and walked straight into the living room. She was still in her wedding dress. Her hair was still perfect. Her makeup was still flawless. And her expression was somewhere between disbelief and fury. "What?" she said, looking around at all of us. "Are you doing here?" Grandma stood up. And this is why Grandma is Grandma. Her voice was completely calm, completely pleasant, and absolutely steel underneath. "I'm having a gathering in my home," she said. "Is there a problem?" This is my wedding." "Yes, and this is my house." I wasn't aware those two things were mutually exclusive. Madison's face was doing this interesting color progression from white to pink to red. "You said you'd stay inside. You said you wouldn't cause any issues. I am inside. We all are. We haven't gone anywhere near your event. But everyone can see your cars. And Steve's mom said," she gestured wildly, "you're uninvited, all of you. I specifically told you that you weren't invited." Emma, bless her heart, chose this moment to set down her wine glass with an audible clink. Madison's head whipped toward her. "Are you drinking? In Grandma's house?" "Yeah. You're trying to ruin my wedding." And this is the moment I'll remember forever. Because Grandma, who had been standing there letting Madison spiral, took one step forward and said, in a voice I'd never heard her use before, "No, sweetheart. You tried to kick me out of my own home for your wedding. There's a difference." Silence. "You uninvited your family," Grandma continued, still in that terrifyingly calm voice, Including me, apparently, since you asked me to leave for the weekend. You used my home, my property that I've spent 40 years maintaining, for your celebration. And then you decided which of your relatives deserved to be here and which didn't. So here's what's happening. I'm staying in my house. They're staying with me. And you're going to go back to your wedding and decide what's more important, making a scene about this, or enjoying the rest of your party. Madison's mouth opened, closed, opened again. You can't. I absolutely can. It's my house. I could see the gears turning in Madison's head. She was doing the math, make a huge scene at her own wedding, probably in front of all of Steve's family, or let this go and pretend it wasn't happening. She chose option 3, which I didn't see coming. Fine, she hissed. Fine, stay here. But don't you dare come outside. Don't you dare show your faces anywhere near my guests. We weren't planning to, Emma said helpfully. Madison spun on her heel, impressive in a wedding dress, honestly, and stormed out. Through the window, we watched her march back across the lawn. She grabbed Steve, said something to him that involved a lot of hand gestures, and then they both disappeared into the tent. Well, Aunt Carol said into the silence. That went well. The rest of the evening was honestly anticlimactic. We stayed inside, watched the dancing from the windows, ate the rest of Grandma's sandwiches plus the cookies I'd stress-baked. Emma got some truly excellent zoomed-in photos of Madison's forced smile. Around 11 p.m., the wedding wound down. We watched guests leave, watched the caterers pack up, watched Madison and Steve drive away without saying goodbye to Grandma. After everyone left, we helped clean up the kitchen. Dad kept trying to make jokes about how we were like a resistance movement, which didn't quite land. My mom worried that we'd gone too far, but honestly, looking around at my grandmother in her own living room, surrounded by family she'd wanted there, I didn't think we'd gone far enough. The next morning, Grandma called me at 9 a.m. You're going to hear about this, she said, so I wanted you to hear it from me first. Madison called her parents last night. They called me this morning. There was a lot of yelling about respect and boundaries and family unity. What did you say? I told them exactly what I told Madison. This is my house. I didn't go to the wedding. The wedding came to me. And if Madison wanted to use my property while excluding my family, that was always going to be a complicated situation. How did they take that? Not well. But that's not your problem, she paused. I'm proud of you kids, you know, for showing up, for supporting me. I know it was uncomfortable. Grandma, you let us stay with you when my parents got divorced. You've hosted every holiday for 30 years. Sitting in your living room for a few hours was literally the least we could do. I heard her voice crack a tiny bit. Still, it meant something. That was 3 months ago. Madison hasn't spoken to most of us since. Her parents are disappointed in how we handled it, according to the family grapevine. Steve's family apparently thinks we're all insane. But here's the thing. Grandma hosted Thanksgiving this year. A huge one with everyone who'd been in that living room during the wedding, plus some extras. And we sat around her table, in her house, on her property, and it felt exactly like it should have felt. Like family. Messy and complicated and sometimes awkward, but family nonetheless. Emma printed and framed one of her wedding photos. Not of Madison. Just of the tent and the garden and Grandma's beautiful property in the golden hour light. Grandma hung it in the hallway. To remember the time we threw the world's quietest counter wedding, Emma had written on the back. Grandma calls it her favorite picture. And honestly, mine too. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's not public. It's not even really revenge at all. Sometimes it's just refusing to leave your grandmother's house when someone tries to kick her out of it. Madison's married now. Hopefully it sticks better than the first one. And if she ever wants to apologize, to Grandma, to us, to anyone, I'm sure we'd listen. But we'll be doing it in Grandma's living room, because that's what family does. We show up.